But who do you say I am?" And Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "You are blessed, Simon, son of John, because my Father in heaven has revealed this to you. You did not learn this from any human being. Now I say to you that you are Peter, which means rock. And upon this rock I will build my church, and all the powers of hell will not conquer it."
Do you ever think back to like stuff that used to be popular and you never thought it'd die off, like what we were just talking about?
Yeah.
And then you reflect back, and I mean, I haven't thought of Rodney Carrington in a long time.
Yeah, a really long time. I do think about some of that stuff. I think one of the most, whenever you were first starting to discover things that you found like and took an interest in, or thought were funny, or like your first glimpse into the adult world of things, like I guess middle school ish. A lot of those things are what I think about whenever I think back on what I thought would still be relevant and so important. Yeah, right. And music, like there's so much music I used to listen to and love. And just some of it I still do, but a lot of it I don't.
Like the hood rat stuff, or
there's some hood rat stuff. There's also like some country stuff, like
I agree with that for
like
sure.
some pretty redneck
Absolutely.
rock kind of stuff that I was like, yeah, man, this is awesome. Talking about going mudding and drinking beer and all this stuff, and it's just there's really got no soul to it. And
then you listen back and you're like, what was I listening to?
dude, and that opens up a whole nother can of worms. You talking about the laying in bed late at night, nestled up, just getting ready to sleep, and all of a sudden those memories of something just stupid that you did or said back in the day pops in your head.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Comes
why?
flooding back.
You're just like, I hate myself sometimes. Like, why are you the way you are?
I don't know. These long runs by my lonesome is where those scenarios have been playing in.
I have literally caught myself being like saying out loud, like, oh man, like in thinking back on things that I've done or said. And yeah,
absolutely.
Just embarrassing.
Absolutely.
We won't go in there and describe those things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, you know, it's ever evolving, right? I'm sure there's stuff that's super prevalent right now. Well, I know there's stuff that won't be 5 years from now either. So
I feel like we're realizing how our parents felt whenever we would like say some new words or some new slang, and they'd just be like,
Dude.
"What the hell are y'all talking about?" And we'd just be like, "YOLO."
Earlier, I was like, "That's clutch." I was like, "Man, am I gonna be saying that 10 to 15 years from now, and are my future kids gonna be like, what does that even mean?"
Dude, and that's like here's a good example of one. We were on whenever me and Lane met, like really hit it off on the trip that we went on together. I was talking about playing basketball at night with my buddies in this neighborhood, and she was like, "Oh, is it lit?" I said, "Oh yeah, it was a great time." And she was asking if the court had lights so we could play it.
Two different meanings.
Just this disconnect there, man. But that's one thing. I was like, it's lit. That's one of my words that I use still. And yeah, I don't think that little Livy out there is going to be using lit
Or clutch.
or clutch. Oh man,
Look, Livy, that ain't happening today.
Dude.
It seems like, what does that even mean?
you're so old.
Dude,
what we're
we
gonna
are
do.
getting old.
We are getting old, expiring.
Something like that.
Yeah, getting better.
Wonder how Billy Joggins feels.
Oh, did you just call my dad old? Oh man. Oh, right where it hurts, man. Poor Billy Joggins. Hey,
Somebody's got to give him a hard time here and there because
he's
nobody does. Because he's just easygoing, peaceful. You know what I mean?
non-confrontational with
Absolutely.
anybody.
Won't make a decision.
Oh my God, that's a bone to pick if there ever was one.
Old son, that goes. I see where you get it from, though.
Yeah, yeah, you're bad too.
Well, I think we all are in this group. Let's be honest.
But Dad is the absolute like. I could be like, man, Dad, we can go eat at two places. We can go Taco Bell, or we can go Texas Roadhouse. Where do you want to go? And he'd be like, well, I don't know. I don't. Either one sounds great to me. It's really what y'all are feeling. And it's like, nobody wants Taco Bell when Roadhouse is an option, Dad. We all know it. But we just got to choose. You got to be decisive.
I know. That Diablo sauce is pretty good.
Dude, somebody told me the other day, they were like, yeah, I went to Taco Bell and I tricked them into making me a double-decker taco because they don't make them anymore as a sales rep I work with. And they were just so amped about it. And I was like, man, I haven't been to Taco Bell in like literally years.
I haven't either. I haven't been Taco Bell 2019, 2020.
Dude.
College Station days.
I would like, just going down because I still eat fast food. You still eat some fast food, I assume, every once in a while?
We try to minimize it.
We try to as well.
Much as we can. Yeah, I mean, they'll after a fishing trip, you have to get Whataburger.
Dude, I was literally
you have to get Whataburger.
I was literally about to tell you that Whataburger was clutch for our fishing trip this weekend that we went on.
Yeah, absolutely. Chick-fil-A, I'll substitute in some Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A's
because they got some good options there.
You can get some, for real. You can stay a little bit healthy with Chick-fil-A. Not perfect, but better. I'll get Panda.
I was gonna say Bill Miller's.
Okay. I do not like Bill Miller's, but somebody showed me something that I eat at Bill Miller's whenever we go.
What'd they show you?
It's the po' boy.
Yeah, number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild Bill style.
Wild Bill style. What is that?
Yeah, you don't know about that, do you?
I do not know.
That's right, boy. Mm-hmm. I'm getting brought into the culture, old San Antonio native over here, big dog. I was hearing an echo behind me. Had to shut her down. Sorry about that.
Ah.
Yeah, still figuring out technology. You know I'm the tech guy.
What is freaking Wild Bill style, man?
Oh, we're still on that?
Yeah, I'm not letting that go.
Yeah, just order it next time we go. See what happens, man.
Okay.
Nah, they
if they change your mind to where you went from no Bill Millers ever, unless you were minority in the group, to having something to order, I'll check it out.
I'll let you in on it. See, regular po' boy.
Mm-hmm.
I get turkey because turkey is my jam whenever I go to barbecue joints. And
fail.
Actually, we'll go into that in just a second. But what they do is then they thin slice a bunch of sausage and they put it on top of the turkey on your sandwich with sauce. And it's turkey and sausage on your sandwich.
And sauce.
And sauce. And that is the po' boy, Wild Bill style.
Fair enough.
It is way better than just straight up regular sandwich. From
Just
Bill
regular
Miller.
turkey, regular brisket. Yeah.
It changed my opinion of Bill Miller.
Fair enough.
But
I'll
hey,
check it out.
The turkey thing, you just judged me a little bit. But I actually, speaking of judging, judge my barbecue joints off of turkey.
Yeah, that's the easy way to do it.
It is because it's super, super easy to jack up turkey.
Mm-hmm.
You can dry it out so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of a dangerous meat to get involved with if you're barbecuing.
So you're talking from experience with your smoker from last Thanksgiving?
Has been, but actually I've done, man, you can ask around. I've become quite the turkey connoisseur whenever it comes to smoking turkeys. I've been smoking turkeys for my family for the past 3 years now.
Oh.
Kind of getting dedicated to being the guy. I did a turkey, 2 briskets, and like 4 pork tenderloins last year. Dang right. All of it turned out pretty dang good too.
That's a lot more than I did.
You know what I put on them briskets?
I
put that hardcore carnivore black seasoning.
Oh man, that's what you did on.
It's
that?
really good, but it's a cheater deal a little bit because you can.
Because it turns it black.
It puts a nice bark on it from the very get go, baby. Takes all the work out of it, old son.
Dang,
Not
man.
as much finesse involved, you know.
That's fair. I don't know. We both have some easy bake smokers, so does it really count? You know what I mean?
We do. You're right.
So
I mean, yes and no. I mean, You can screw up on an easy bake smoker too, on them old pellet grills.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
screw up fast if you don't know what you're doing. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. I don't know.
What's up?
What's up, man?
We got some exciting stuff today or what?
Yeah, dude. We're diving back into the chapter of Matthew. It's been a minute.
It's been a little while.
It has, man.
It's been a while. Do it again.
But no, I mean, we got that going on. We got a few updates to kind of discuss and go over.
Oh, yeah?
But before all of that, obviously we got our housekeeping, right?
Take us into the abyss of housekeeping.
Man, we got 2 phenomenal partnerships, right?
We do?
And obviously that starts off with Axis Recovery.
Oh, I think I'm wearing the T-shirt right now.
Dang, look at that.
Tell you what, got the old Axis. We got the hat back yonder way.
Yeah, I'm not wearing mine today.
Huh?
Usually I do.
Wow, that's selfish.
Guess I'm slacking.
I'd say so. You didn't wear a suit that one time. You didn't dress up for that podcast, and you ain't wearing no Axis stuff. So didn't get the memo, I guess. But
No, apparently I keep missing it. But
Yep.
if you're looking for some solid recovery,
what you gonna do?
you're gonna go to Axis
Mm.
out there in Conroe, folks. If you're looking for top-notch saunas, cold plunges, contrast therapy, Normatec boots, whatever it is you're looking for on that recovery side, they got you covered.
Really?
Absolutely.
Huh?
And even then, stop by, mention our name, and you get 10% off the next
10%.
10%, man.
Huh?
That's like 10 McDoubles.
Maybe, yeah. Honestly, that's probably $1 out pretty
Probably.
good.
Yeah.
Actually, you could do 5 McDoubles, 5 McChickens, slam them together. You could have yourself a good, wholesome meal.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, been a while.
We're on the food train right now.
Dude, you want to talk about throwing back to something you thought was going to stick around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. McDonald's is never my thing, but it just never sat well with me.
Oh, it never sat well with me,
Yeah.
but you can make some pretty good food
Absolutely.
combos and stuff.
Yeah.
Secret menu. But neither here nor there, because this is not an advertisement for McDonald's, but it is an advertisement for our other partner that we get to partner with. That is drmarriage.org. Guys, if you are looking to expand upon and grow and go deeper into a relationship with your significant other, I would highly encourage you and even challenge you to take a dive into drmarriage.org. What you're going to get is you're going to get a daily message dropped to you if you subscribe to that via email. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you topics of discussion that are rooted in faith. They're supported with prayer. They're supported with a Bible verse from some really, really great guys that have been working in the counseling space for men and for couples. And, you know, it's a super, super... What are you doing over there laughing, man? I'm trying to do an advertisement. It's a super good way for you to get deeper and think on a higher level in approaching your wife and conversation with your wife. It's meant to be a way that a man can read this post, this message to their wife, and it can generate some deeper conversations that Lord knows each and every one of us guys is either avoiding or just not good at doing. You know, I know I've been terrible at it, but is this something that Lane, my wife, and I actively use? You know, Lane Divin and I don't talk to each other about it too much there. We leave that for our wives. But Lane Pitts and myself love diving into it. It sparks some deep conversations. It does get a little uncomfortable at times, guys. It's not all flowers and roses, but it is meant to make you think, make you go a little bit deeper, and to be vulnerable and honest with each other. And I know every single one of us could use a little bit of that. So I highly, highly encourage y'all to go check out drmarriage.org. There's also some programs on there. There's also some other media sources that are just jam up good. And guys, I promise that if you go into it, you won't regret the direction you go. So that's drmarriage.org.
Heck yeah, dude. That's pretty dang awesome.
Yes, sir.
Love what they're doing over there. I love, obviously, what Access supports as well.
Oh,
So,
dude, absolutely. They've got some good stuff going on over there, man.
I do got a question for you, though. It's not necessarily diving into either of those, but you've been social media free for how long now?
A while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? Like, have you noticed anything different? Have you daily habits obviously are different by now.
So I end up every once in a while. I get so many people that send me things, and it's all Instagram and Facebook. So every once in a while,
And I'm
end
guilty
up,
of that for sure.
Yeah, I end up back on it because.
Yeah.
But what I've been doing lately is I've actually gone in and blocked those websites as well, so I don't even do links anymore. So I've been going in and out though for a little bit back into Facebook mainly because that's where I get a lot of the videos from, but Instagram as well, and it's good. I realize how toxic that is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is my time 100% full and not wasted? No. There's still things that absorb time for me. There's a couple little stupid games I play on my phone every once in a while that I try to limit. I actually got screen times on those, so I don't overdo those.
Mm-hmm.
And little things that just pass time like that, like YouTube and stuff like that, that can be dangerous and still walk that same path. But for the most part, those things don't have a lot of the harmful media that is found in Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok
and everything else.
Twitter, especially Twitter's a mess. Reddit, they're a mess. So I try to walk the right path, try to do the right thing, and it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle, man. There's all kinds of temptation to dive back in there and get into what everybody else is doing, or to get into the over-sexualized crap that you find everywhere on those platforms nowadays, or to get into comparing yourself to everything else that everybody else has going on, and they're only showing you the 50% of their life that they're actually happy and proud of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a really good and positive deal. My thing was, I was like, man, I can't be away from family. That's a way I only talk to some of my family on there. That's my source of communication. And I got rid of Messenger too, because every time I'd get on Messenger, there'd be links there, and I'd just click and go on. It was an everyday thing. I was back on it for a little bit, and I got rid of all of it, and now I got people that if they really want to talk to me, they text me, and they call me, and here we go, and we're good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Assuming you're liking the disconnect from it all, if I had to guess.
I am. It was actually
for the most part, at least.
Yeah, and even fishing. This past weekend, we were out in the middle of Baffin Bay in one of those cabins that's on the piles raised up in the air.
Yeah.
And I had a good time, but I had phone service the whole entire time, which surprised me. But I wasn't consumed with my phone the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though I was there with a couple of guys, older guys that I didn't necessarily have a ton in common with, but we still engaged, connected, enjoyed things. And we turned on the Aggie game. The Aggies are headed hopefully to the College World Series championship here after tomorrow. We'll see how it goes down, knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
But was able to actually connect with them, dive into some things, and enjoy life a little bit and not be consumed with my phone the entire time. So really positive deal for me.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's nice.
That's pretty awesome. I don't know. It's always one of those. It's like, oh, I would do it, but, or if I still had access to this, I then would, or what have you. And so, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you either got to be all in or not at all.
Yeah.
And so, just something I've been kind of curious on your perspective of it since you've been in it for a little while now.
Yeah, and I do end up back on it every once in a while if somebody sends me something, I go look at it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's going to be stuff like that, obviously.
Yeah, but there's also the last resort, and the biggest thing with it is deleting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking like I've deleted the apps and everything, but deleting the actual accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if I want to do that yet because I don't know if eventually I find a balance in there where I do use it just to keep up with people and not consume my time with stupid stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So kind of right there, but I also, in breaking habits and some of the different things that you learn about from different very, very smart people are smarter than I am, obviously. They talk about the importance of understanding that if you cut something off, it doesn't necessarily... like you're kind of creating a void, right? And distracting yourself, like you're a smart human being. So if you delete an app or you do whatever, right? You block the websites on your phone so you can't access Facebook.com or Instagram.com. you're a smart person that if you want it and you're going to go try to get it and participate in whatever that is, you're going to do it.
You're still going to go be a part of it. Yeah.
There's ways around it, and you know them, and you're going to do it. Yeah. I mean, so it's a Band-Aid fix for a bigger problem, but it has been a good reminder to stay present and focused in life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I feel like in today's age, it's so easy to not do that, where you do just get sucked into just like the quote unquote doom scrolling, right?
Yeah.
Or I like spending time on Marketplace, stuff that I don't need, but I have trouble turning down a good deal. You know what I mean?
I do,
especially the vehicles.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I mean, we all have our excuses there, but it's easy to lose sight of like the present moment and what you should be conscious in and actually spending your time in, because that's where it actually matters, instead of just incessantly just throwing away time, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I'd agree, man. No, that's a great question. I appreciate being able to provide that little update for folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had one other for you. How's the beard life at work treating you?
You had to go there. So everybody knows we've been feral for a while. And
I'm just looking for an update. You don't have to, and you don't even have to give an update if you don't want to.
No, I ain't worried about it. We're going into it. I was approached by someone in leadership at our company.
That's what I was laughing about a few minutes ago. I was underlining because it's like,
And so I was approached by somebody saying that there's about to be something coming out at the next town hall, which is our company-wide meeting, that there is going to be a reminder and a conversation about untrimmed and ungroomed facial hair. Now, I don't know who's in the crosshairs, but there's only 2 guys at my company with big, long beards. And I'm one of them. I don't know who they could be talking about. But I should hear, I think it's going to be Friday, maybe Thursday. No, it's going to be Thursday. Our town hall, they're going to drop some stuff and say some things about untrimmed and ungroomed beards. It'll be coming directly from my C-suite, so the top end of the company, and it's going to probably be reinforced by something in the handbook, employee handbook. And I don't know what those specs are.
I'm just curious to see like what the stipulations are, or like the definition of a tamed versus untamed beard.
Yeah, because if you look at grooming, I brush my beard every day. I groom my beard every day. My mustache is trimmed because my wife gets on to me if it's not trimmed. So
I can relate.
Technically, untrimmed and ungroomed is not what is on my face right now.
There's just different standards of it, right?
There's certainly different standards. There's absolutely different standards. But then it brings into conversation several other different things about professionalism. And I don't know where we draw the line there. Because are big and bushy beards something that have traditionally been considered professional in the workplace? No. But there's a massive shift with tattoos. Yeah. I know several people that have tattoos exposed on their arms. I know people that have tattoos on their faces, on their necks. They've got full sleeve tattoos. They've got tattoos all over themselves. And they're not asked to remove them or cover them. Then there's other things in professionalism, talking about health and taking care of yourself as well, that I think is a conversation to be had whenever you're presenting yourself and selling yourself as a person that's going to be working for a client. I feel like taking care of yourself in your physical health is a super important thing as well with professionalism. And that's not a conversation that we would ever go near.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line? I'm undecided what's going to happen. I'll be honest with you. If I'm going to be really on the edge of clean up but stay long like I want my beard to be, and I don't know how this is all going to go down. However, I do feel that this is one of those situations that it's not worth dying on my heel over this.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of other factors that could be addressed. There's a lot of other factors that could be fixed within our company that would require and could have a higher level of focus on them, but they're kind of ignored, and they're just the can is kicked down the road a little bit, and we choose to put our energy and time into making sure that someone's facial hair is trimmed up and neat versus those other things. On principle, it bothers me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all. I completely respect where they're coming from. I know that we need to provide a good, clean look for our clients. We want to be professional. But I don't know that in any way I've acted in an unprofessional way, especially given what I've poured into the current company I'm at, with a lot of uncertainty on my end. So that's all I'll say about that. I know it was a little long-winded, but yeah, there's the beard update. So if I come in neat and trimmed and groomed, that's what happened. Yep. And I'll
just
be
go straight baby face.
I'm thinking about it actually. I've never seen myself without at least a mustache.
Yeah.
Since I was a teenager.
I say high school days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I graduated high school, I had some sort of facial hair. I've gone
ever since.
I've had a goatee. I've had a beard. I've had a mustache. I've never been clean, smooth. You've been smooth.
I've been smooth, but I had to be smooth.
Texas Parks and Wildlife
for good old game warden applications. Yeah.
You did.
Yep. And kind of talking about the shift there as well with like the whole professionalism. Like even with TPWD, at least on the game warden side, they are now allowing game wardens to have beards. And so we were talking about tattoos and everything. That is one thing that did come to mind, is that they are able to have a trimmed beard. Like it has to be trimmed within, I don't know, however many centimeters or whatever it is, but
not feral.
Yeah, not full grown like either of ours, which obviously yours is a lot more than mine. But like this wouldn't be allowed. But whenever I do trim it down quite a bit, it would be allowed. So,
yeah. I will.
Which is a step for law enforcement. They've never been able to have any facial hair except for a mustache, I guess.
It is a step, yeah, for sure. It's interesting. I don't know. With firefighters, obviously, you see a point where it makes sense that they can't have it because of respirators.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I'll be interested to see where that goes. Mm-hmm. But it's cool to see them relaxing and going into a more so that's a different conversation, but kind of a liberal approach to facial hair. More so. It's still obviously pretty conservative, but being a little bit more. I don't know,
man. I just, I figured I'd just bring it up.
Yeah. I'm kind of frustrated about it. I've brought it up in a couple situations, and yeah. Whatever.
It ain't no thing, man. Other than that, dude, what else is going on?
Oh, man, just, got a 10-month-old that is literally almost running around the house now. She has started walking and since gained a lot of ground, gotten very good very fast, and she is cruising around the house right now, walking. So that's wild. What else is new, man? What else you got going on?
Truck update. I didn't fix my truck.
Dang it.
No, man. Other than that, dude, just getting back into some of these longer runs. since being out of Cocodona, I guess that mileage is increasing back. I know that Chris, he's got Leadville in 8 weeks.
8 weeks, yeah.
Which is going to be here pretty dang quick.
Yeah.
Just going through and just really just trying to enjoy the process. We all have good days and bad days within training, obviously. But it's been good, man. It's been good.
That's good. It's exciting.
Yeah. Just ready to get you out there on the road again. I'm sure you're ready for it too.
Dude, I can't wait to be out there again. I'm actually looking at trying to do a 10-mile this weekend. So if you I won't be moving very fast. So, but I have been thinking about that. If you got 16, I think.
Yeah, I got a 16-mile this weekend.
Yeah, so we'll see. I need to put down a 5. I need to put down another run and just see how it goes. And
yeah,
we'll see. But no promises. Maybe I'll come join you for a couple hours.
Yeah.
But, man, let's go where we haven't been in a while.
So let's dive into Matthew.
Matthew.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has.
So obviously we're going into Matthew 16.
Yes.
And in Matthew 15, I think that we had some bigger points that stood out to us. I mean, throughout this entire book, obviously. I don't know, man. There's so many different things I've just gotten from reading Scripture more consistently. I'm not as consistent as I would like to be, right?
Agreed.
That's something that we've talked about many times. But every time I return back over here to Matthew and like the Gospels in general, it just seems like there's always like here's a super obvious thing that you should already know about, but here's just a reminder in case you forgot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do understand what you mean.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it started off real quick in 16 for me, kind of on that same point, if you're good with diving right in.
Yeah, you talking about the demand for a sign?
Yeah, man, the demand for a sign. Verses 1 through 4 right there blatantly at the beginning talks exactly about what you talked about. And it smacked me in the face because what I wrote down here was the human need to put terms and conditions on God.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you show me this, if you do this for me, then I'll believe or I'll have faith. I'll have a reason to understand. There will be some kind of proof in my life and something tangible in my hands that I can hold or give you praise for.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, I'm not going to walk that path. And it made me realize how much we are. Like we picture ourselves, and we want to picture ourselves as the apostles. We want to picture ourselves as Simon walking out on the water in faith. We want to picture ourselves as
David.
Yeah, as David right there on the battlefield, right? And all these biblical characters that are strong in faith and connected to God. But the truth is, man, quite often in our situations and in modern day times with this society, we find ourselves being the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one that resonated with me because that's me. We often want these signs and we refuse this blind faith that we're supposed to have because we lose sight of what's truly important, and that is not all the earthly things that we have here. And later in the chapter, it goes deeper into some other things that we'll talk about with that. But we think about the importance of what we want and our demands and trying to be able to decipher all these codes and have the answers right here and now. And it's become even more prevalent with the world that we live in and the power we have with these little computers in our hands all day long in the form of phones. And that just really hit me hard because it's like for a long time, whenever I felt like God has been pursuing me for a very long time. And I feel like I've just now started pursuing God.
Mm-hmm.
And with that flip of the switch, I really feel like I've always sat on some sort of pedestal in my own mind where I demanded something of God, for something to be shown to me, for Him to come to me, not me to go to Him. And realization of that and the beginnings of this first 4 verses of this chapter just really smacked me,
Mm-hmm. Something that stood out to me immediately is, how often is it that we go to him continuously in times of need, but we just kind of disconnect when things are good and rolling smooth. And that's something that I've really been trying to stay present in, and realize, like whether it is out there on my runs or whether it is something just basic, work, whether it's having a solid place to actually sleep and enjoy my downtime, you know what I mean? And those moments where I'm able to actually go through and appreciate that, I'm trying to reflect back and like, thank you for this, because so many times I have not done that. Or if I do, it's just a very like generalized thing. I'm not saying like go through and be very specific on every single little thing, but I think it's just the posture of your heart and just going through and being like, no, like I'm truly grateful for this moment. And so often I turn to you for strength whenever something bad is happening.
In need, right? Yeah. Not that. I feel you.
And it's funny, there's like it has essentially the sailors saying in this chapter right here, red in the morning. Do you know the saying?
I don't know the saying.
No? Oh, okay. So red in the morning, sailor's warning. Red at night, sailor's delight, right? And it's going through and just interpreting the weather, which is what this is referring to. But so often, like we've gone through and done that, or requested the same thing, like you said, like, Lord, just let me see this, and then I'll have faith to go do this that you ask me of, instead of just having faith in that process and going to talk to that stranger, going to help that person, whatever that may look like for you, instead of just having that faith, just so consistently like, nah, I need something first. Yeah. That's so backwards, man.
It is.
Like, so backwards.
Yeah, and around like the end of that is something that hit me too. Just talking about how he in verse 4, only an evil, adulterous generation would demand a miraculous sign, but the only sign I will give them is the sign of the prophet Jonah. And for me, that's something that hit me really hard too, because like we just talked about, where your selfishness and what you desire gets in front of your face, a realization of what happened with Jonah and really understanding that story. I mean, this is put together and painted in a way that's so beautiful, because what happened with Jonah, for anybody that doesn't know, is he got tasked to go into Nineveh and he didn't want to go. Mm-hmm. And he ran and he ran and he ran and ended up on a ship far, far away. And he put his own selfish desires and what he wanted or what he thought was the case in the stipulations, and didn't have that faith. Mm-hmm. So he went the other direction, and soon he was thrown off the ship, swallowed by a whale, and 3 days later he was what ended up out. And yeah, we know the rest of the story. But and the comparison of that with Christ going into the tomb for 3 days, in the same way that Jonah was in the whale for 3 days, and then resurrection, and emerged from the tomb, right? And he comes and what he leaves everyone with is still a requirement of faith. One day he's going to come and deliver. He's going forth to prepare a place for those of us that follow and those that follow and abide and have faith and proclaim him. And it, even with that ability to spend time with him that the apostles had and to be with him, it's still like the whole step of the way and the whole beginning of this requires faith. It requires the proper, true understanding relationship. And I don't know, that was something that struck me, because it's like I found myself in a weird spot too, where I was like, man, if only I could have been back there and like really seen or understood and like solidified my faith and had an opportunity to really know what this is, and not have to just walk out on blind faith sometimes. And it just, I don't know.
And I find it funny too, there's so many miracles that do happen on a daily basis like we just don't give any admins or like any recognition for, I guess, is what I'm looking for. And it's like you're looking for a sign right in front of you.
There is, but we want it to be the specific thing that we want. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm guilty of that.
Absolutely.
1000%.
I mean, and I think we all are. And so, I don't know, man. It just kind of sets you back on that perspective and makes you take a step back and realize, yeah, here again, I'm foolish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Going deeper into that, did you have anything on the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees, 5 to 12?
No, I mean I find it comical in a way because obviously they take that literally to start off with. Like, what do you mean? Like, and
they're like, oh crap, we don't have any bread. Yeah.
And then Jesus just reiterates, like, no, you fools, like you have little faith. And then obviously they're not talking about yeast or bread at all, but it's what they're preaching. It's the bread that they're going through and giving on that daily basis.
Yeah, and
preaching on the daily basis, I guess.
Absolutely, and man, I wrote down that the apostles arguing about that, about the bread and not having it, and worrying about that human side. It paints a beautiful picture of the human nature and what you and I get wrapped up in, right? We get worried about, is there enough money in the bank account? We get worried about, man, this economy's going crazy. There's a presidential election, and I hope Sleepy Joe doesn't win, or I hope that jerk Donald Trump doesn't get in and tweet mean stuff, and we get wrapped up in all this just crap.
That doesn't matter.
That's irrelevant.
It is, dude.
Like at the end of the day, it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
And we get wrapped up in the human side of it, and we get so worried about all of it, and we try to control all of it so much that it diminishes that faith so much more, because we find ourselves tugging at the strings and in this game of tug of war with life that we're just not going to win. And just sometimes you had to give yourself up and understand that you're not that guy in the story, and you don't have that power. And that's been a hard one for me to swallow. And with that, I wrote down too, talking about what he was actually talking about with the yeast, like you mentioned, the things that they're dropping, the little wisdom they're dropping, the sermons they're dropping, all the Pharisees and Sadducees, it is permeating through the bread like yeast, which in that case, the bread is the people. And I wrote down that small influences and the deceptions that we have in our lives permeate through our lives. It grows like weeds. You know, you got one thing that pops up, and next thing you know, your whole entire lawn, not yours because you got freaking turf, you're lucky, but your whole entire life is infected by this just vast network of weeds that choke out the grass.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely love that. That kind of refers back to that parable that was brought back earlier in Matthew as well.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely does. I wish I was more adept with it, so I knew what like the names of the parables.
Like, Matthew 5.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll take
We're learning.
Time, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
No, man. I just think of how foolish, at least I've really come to recognize, like I am with so many things, where I'll continually place importance on things that don't matter. And that's been a struggle for me too. Like, it's not just like, it's not materialistic things that I'm talking about. It's like just scenarios and stuff with work and stuff that just like, it doesn't freaking matter. And so much importance and weight is placed on so many things that at the end of the day, if it fell one way or the other, would it make a difference?
Is it a fact? Because I do the same exact thing, and I think I know what it is, but I would want your opinion. Is it a factor of pride and like almost self-promotion of what you want your image to be?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of that. Like, we're going through and being a leader in the company, you want to have a certain I don't know, like you want to make sure that you're coming across a certain way and being presented in a certain light and going through certain scenarios in a certain way, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And so that I think that does definitely have a lot to do with it for sure. But on the flip side of it too, there's so many things that it's just like people just get so worked up about. It's just like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating once you start taking a step back and realizing like, hey, like you still have to go through and obviously perform your best, take care of everything to the best of your ability. But it's realizing like, oh, it didn't go your way. Hey, it's okay. Because guess what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Man, on that subject, not to switch gears too hard, but I thought it was really cool. Texas A&M had some hats made for their baseball team. And what the hats say on it,
these.
They're white, and they got a maroon word stitched across the front. It just says good. And it is from Jocko.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is dope.
That's pretty dang cool.
But it ties into what you're talking about, just like the scenarios that we worry about so much and the anxiety. But at the end of the day, like it's all there to teach us something. It's all there to move us in a direction. And at the end of the day, with it all, the things that we put the weight on and the reason we're so worried about it is not what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And it doesn't, like, even having that mindset doesn't make it easier either.
No, it makes it worse.
I wish it did.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Oh. But that happens when you care a lot. I mean, it does. But I think you're exactly right. We need to care, or we need to understand that caring and almost obsessing over it to the point of being detrimental to what's true and real about the whole thing is a tough thing and a bad thing. But yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. What do you got on the next section, man?
Man, Peter's declaration about Jesus. I thought that it was a very interesting thing because he asked the question that he knew the answer to, right? And I think he was really, in some ways, looking for the example of faith that was exhibited by Peter there, Simon Peter, if you will. Whenever it says, "But who do you say I am?" And Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "You are blessed, Simon, son of John, because my Father in heaven has revealed this to you. You did not learn this from any human being. Now I say to you that you are Peter, which means rock. And upon this rock I will build my church, and all the powers of hell will not conquer it. And I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you forbid on earth will be forbidden in heaven, and whatever you permit will be permitted in heaven." And for me, what I had, man, is that God chooses to reveal himself to Peter, and Peter accepts that. And he has that thing that we talked about, that blind faith, and not even really the blind faith because he's got an example in front of him, of course, that could be argued, but he's got a faith that is the rock. It's unshaken, it's unbothered, right? It's unweathered. And to me, that was just something super, super powerful because Christ goes on to say that he chooses to build his church upon that. And what he chooses to build his church upon is that revelation that he is the Messiah. He's the Son of the living God.
Yeah.
And that pure faith that was revealed only by God to Simon, to Peter. And the fact that we find ourselves in these positions where we're often like, well, God has to reveal himself to me. God needs to reveal himself to me. I don't have any proof, so I'm not going to believe all that mumbo jumbo. But one thing I've never done for the longest time, and I still really haven't done it, and it's a big challenge that I ran across in the scripture and the studying of this, is asking for the revelation of faith from God. Show me the faith I should have. Now, I'm not asking for a sign. I'm not asking for proof, right? But show me the examples. Point that out to me. Show me how to have that, right? Request the revelation that Simon Peter had in him and the faith. Because it still requires faith. It's nothing you're seeing. It's nothing tangible in your hands that you're getting. But it is an opportunity to accept that and to understand deeper and to dive further into it. And that's something that really hit me. And I did form that question out of it, but I kind of answered it for myself in some ways with studying this. Is asking for that a sin? And I mean, what is your opinion on that? Asking for the revelation of faith. Whenever we just heard about in that first 4 verses.
Man, the way that I kind of took that is, there's been many times where I've prayed for strength, but the posture of it isn't necessarily like, Lord, make me stronger. It's present me with the opportunity to go through and build strength. Go through and build that opportunity of gaining more faith, of leaning into you, whether it's through good times or bad. And that's kind of how I took that, man. Just go through and show me, whether it's something within the Bible that it could be a verse that you've read 100 times and then just one day it stands out to you and it hits you back at home. Like, it could be something simple like that, or it could be a physical representation of that. I mean, there's so many things that you could relate to whenever going through and asking for, revelation of faith. But only you will be able to know whether that was what you should have been seeing, like what you should be seeing or not, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And that's really what I was looking at and kind of the perspective I had on it. But I also, I really appreciate your perspective and wanted to get that from you, because it is tough. It's a fine line between asking for your own pride, but instead of doing that, asking for a opportunity for a growing relationship, right?
Well, and even then, it's still the posture of your heart as to which you're asking.
Yeah.
It could be, Lord, reveal to me what faith actually looks like. That way I know how to go through and I can apply that lesson to my life. Or it could be on the flip side of that, where it's like, I know what faith looks like, and you're asking for something that's just kind of like boastful. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like, it all ties back to the posture of your heart. And obviously with this, there's good intentions behind it, which is why I don't think that's wrong to pray about by any means. So
I like it.
Yeah, man. I don't know, and you can get into some prayers that pretty powerful whenever you start asking for opportunities to go through and build strength or have strength or find peace or whatever that may look like. For the longest time, I never understood why people would say to fear God, like why you should fear God, and that's the only thing that you should fear, right? And it probably, and a lot of that is negligence or ignorance is what I'm looking for, with a lot of like the Old Testament stories that I'm just like I know of a little bit, but it just never made any sense to me. Like, why should I fear God? But then whenever you take a step back and you're like, well, if I'm praying for an opportunity to build strength, I mean, God is in control of my life. And we have heard and read and seen many stories within the Bible of people going through and suffering and still loving him through that time.
Job.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, that's just who I was thinking of just now. And I mean, like, he has that power to go through that. And meanwhile, we get bitter about something taking an hour longer than it should have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once you take that step back and shift your perspective of like, no, this is like the true power that he has. I mean, he's all encompassing, right? And once you have that, it's like, that's why I should fear God.
Yeah.
It's not just me out here controlling my life, because it's not. But I mean, it is, but it isn't. I guess that ties back into the whole free will speech or topic
versus
there.
Calvinism and all that.
Yeah. That's a different conversation.
It is a different conversation. Could be a very
but you know
deep
what I'm getting at.
I do, yeah. But no, that makes a lot of sense.
So
it's a lot to think about. That's good.
It is, man, and that
good perspective.
And all of that ties into really the last section of Matthew 16, which is Jesus predicting his own death. Something that I guess a verse that stood out to me within this was 23, and I just kind of wanted your perspective on it. But I guess I'll preface that with 22. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Never, Lord, he said, this shall never happen to you. And this is him reiterating, or denying what Jesus is saying is going to happen.
He just said that he'd be taken and killed.
Yeah. And then verse 23, Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." I just feel like that was such a strong and very specific, word usage, I guess. And I don't know if it had that same weight with you, because he's literally telling Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." Like, is it just I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking that there's more to it than there actually is. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it hit me really, really hard too, and that was one verse that I wrote down to discuss. But I wrote down the key for me was the temptation to deviate from God's will, and we've had previous conversations about where thoughts come from, and are your thoughts that come into your head or your mind or the ideas that you form, are they yours?
Mm-hmm.
Do you own those? And I think that's talking about that on that level, that not all of the thoughts that we have to come into our head, and not all of the ideas or beliefs that we hold are from the good place or from our Savior or from a place of hope. A lot of them, while the intentions, I guess a good application of that is the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And
yeah.
That's kind of a literal saying to what this situation is that in some ways, there's a wonderful picture of Jesus was tempted for 40 days in the desert by Satan. And this seems to be another temptation of that right there, because it's a deviation from God's plan. Jesus knows what must happen. He knows that he must die.
Yeah.
He must be resurrected to pay for the sins of men, to save men, to provide a path to the Father for man, right? But it's so easy for Simon to get caught up in and influenced into thinking that this vessel, this humanly vessel on earth, and this friend that he has here in this moment is the most important thing. And he doesn't want anything to happen to him. So he comes to a point of trying to protect and prevent the situation that he's being told
that
has to happen.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand the bigger meaning behind it. And so humanly, same thing you or I would have done in a situation like that. Hopefully we had the courage to do something like that. But the same thing a good person that cares about someone else would do is do everything in their power to prevent some harm from happening. But it's just a prime example of, to me, a temptation from a place of not good position of heart or posture of heart, right? It came from a very negative and evil thing, which Satan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was where it came from, and that's where I mean by a negative posture of heart. It's somebody that has ill intentions and put that into Simon to put him into a situation where he wasn't making the right decision, and he tried to influence and tempt Jesus to not do this because, of course, Jesus had to go through all the pain and the suffering and all of it, and there had to have been temptation to walk away. I mean, we hear that later, and we've both studied other Gospels, Luke, I mean, there's examples of Christ did not enjoy this experience. He wasn't immune to the pain, right? He was a human here on earth, and God in human form, and understood and went through those things. And Peter wanted to save him from that.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing, but it was from a negative overall outcome. It was a worldly place.
Yeah.
That he was focused on rather than heavenly and the future and what it truly was in God's plan and God's light.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you articulated that and clarified that. It kind of makes me wonder, how often do we do that with other things, with ourselves or with others too?
Yeah. Often.
Yeah, probably more often than we actually realize.
I would agree with you, man. I think going further into that with his explanation of it, it's just something that's been extremely hard for me. And it really goes back to talking about what you said about caring about what people think of us in the workplace and in our lives and the product that we put out that is us, that we sell every day for ourselves, right? For personal gain. And he goes on to say right there in verse 25,
yep.
If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in the glory of his Father and will judge all people according to their deeds. And I tell you the truth, some standing here right now will not die before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And it's just, that's hard. That's the ultimate challenge.
It is. It's a daily battle.
Yeah, going to verse 24 right there.
Deny yourself and take up their cross and follow me if you want to be my disciple.
Yeah. That's asking that's asking for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times, like, I feel like I'm barely willing to give like 10%, 25% of myself to that.
Dude, I mean, how many times and I'm guilty of it almost every day unless I sit down and dedicate some time to go through and read scripture or pray or think about, what I should be looking for, what it is I'm seeing, or, there's so many different things there.
Yeah.
But even that in and of itself, it's like struggling to give up some time. Like, do you know how trivial that is? And it doesn't make any freaking sense. But it's literally what matters the most. And maybe that's where that daily opportunity for faith is realizing, like, hey, yes, there are things in front of you that you are prioritizing and do have some type of importance, but they're not the eternal thing that's going to actually make a difference after all this crap is gone.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard, dude.
it is, man. It is. And I know I've brought it up before, but there was a quote that stood out to me back whenever I was a kid. It was in a song that was based out of Matthew 16. And it was, what does it gain a man to gain the whole world but lose a soul? And so whenever you start thinking about that and trying to practice that into your daily life, it's like, what am I even freaking doing?
I mean, I'll give you a prime example. People being so worried about their facial hair or long hair and the ability to fight for that.
Yeah.
But you ain't willing to put no damn time down to study or pray or just be in fellowship with someone else. You're so worried in the things we want in the worldly bull crap.
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Definitely gives you a lot to think about.
It does, dude. It does. And, you know, another example, I was in the gym the other day. Good old push day. I love all my gym days, but
yeah,
push days are always good days.
They're good days.
And, you know, you get a pump going, you're feeling good, and you're worried about how much weight you're pushing and kind of what you look like, obviously. And there's a whole egotistical side of it that doesn't – it's just so pointless. And there was a gentleman in there that had some physical issues. Forgive me because I don't know a lot of the disabilities that people have, but he had some issues walking, right? And he wasn't paralyzed or anything, but I don't know how to describe it. But anyways, he was in there hitting freaking legs. And whenever he would stand back up, he had to have his cane right next to him, and he stood there and huffing and puffing, but like freaking getting after it. I was like, dude, that's actual strength. Like, you don't give a crap what you look like. At least you're not appearing that you do. You're in here literally hitting legs, and you have trouble walking.
Yeah.
And I'm over here worried about what my pump looks like in this cutoff that I got going on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just so often like you see examples of that we either miss because we're just too blind to freaking see, or now you're starting to have those instances revealed to you. It's like, or to me at least, and it just makes you take a step back. And it's like, that dude had true strength. He's probably got what I've prayed for and strive to attain on a daily basis because of the obstacles that he has to go through. But we all have that same opportunity in different areas of our lives. You know, whether it is something trivial like that, or if it's something, you know, relationship building or whatever it could be. I mean, I don't know. You know, the deeper we get into this, the more I realize like what it is that actually matters, and the stuff that on a daily basis I do still go through and place importance on that shouldn't be. But now I'm at least becoming aware of it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Man,
it's a journey, dude.
It's a journey. It's a journey that's full of perspective and walking out on a limb into an uncomfortable area that I'm extremely glad and blessed to be going into. But, man, just one that's going to be challenging and pushing me, and I know you, in ways that we never really thought we'd be pushed before.
Mm-hmm.
So. Man, you got anything else from chapter 16 you want to cover?
I think that last section definitely hit it for me. Is there anything that still stood out to you that you want to touch base on?
Man,
are you good to go?
I think that wraps up 16 for me, but I think there's some things we'll dive into immediately in 17 and get heavy into, but I appreciate y'all going on this journey with us.
Mm-hmm.
We're back in the cycle of the gospel of Jesus Christ with exploring Matthew. We would love for y'all to join us in Matthew 17. If you're somebody that's on the edge and thinking about it, but you don't know what to think, or maybe you don't have faith, or you don't believe in any of this stuff, but you're looking for a direction to go in to improve your life a little bit, or something feels like it's missing, I would challenge you to join us just for a couple chapters and really study and think on it and open your mind, because I've been where you're at for a long time. I've fought this. I've avoided it because it made me uncomfortable. I avoided it because it frustrated me, because it brought up some things from my childhood that I didn't like and didn't appreciate. And that's okay. But it's not okay to just let yourself live in a place because of your own contempt for yourself or your situation, or for what you think is what you genuinely just think is not for you. Because you've got to really explore things and go into them before you know or not. So I'd challenge you to join us, and we'd love to have you along. Man, there's also been some cool comments and people diving into some things that we've done in the past and some current stuff. So thank y'all so much for being a part of this. And if you got something out of this, please share the show. Leave us a rating or review. Whatever you can do in those two fronts will help us push out this podcast, reach more people, and hopefully share the gospel with some folks. So.
Absolutely. And we do really appreciate y'all reaching out to us. I know that we've gotten a few messages that mean a lot to us, and just getting to see a lot of the community involvement that we're starting to see slowly but surely has been pretty dang cool, man. And so
yeah, and we've got some messages we need to get back to. So if you're waiting on us, we're headed that way. Don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Continue reaching out, continue sharing the show. And just involve us. Again, I mean, y'all are why we're doing this. And we want to be as much a part of your journey as much as y'all are of ours. And so just involve us, and we look forward to being a part of it. So,
yeah.
Other than that, man, folks, y'all know what to do. Y'all go out there, do hard things, lead the way, and always be prepared for whatever is
next in line. But before you go.
But before that, we got a prayer.
We do have a prayer.
I'm going to let you kick it, man.
All right. Well, if y'all want to join us real quick. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the opportunity to come together in fellowship and explore your word, to get to spend time with others that truly care about us. God, we just ask that you look over us, you protect us, you open our eyes and open our ears to the words that you've left for us here. You help us explore. You help us understand and maybe reveal that faith to us in that way we discussed today. God, we want to live a life that's good to you, that's in faith and carries us in a growing relationship towards you. We just ask that you walk with us on that path, put your hands on our shoulders, and help us become the men and women we need to become to do so. And God, we ask that you protect us from the evils of this world, that you would lead us out of temptation, and that you would forgive us as sinners that fall short of your glory every single day. And God, we ask that you protect those going through crazy life changes and new adventures all the same, and those that we love and those that don't see eye to eye with us, and just bless them with your wisdom, your strength, and your knowledge, so we can all live in a way that's productive and serving of others. And God, we just thank you again for all these wonderful blessings in our lives, and we love you. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Adios, folks. We'll catch y'all later.
Later on.